Connect, solve painful problems, raise amazing adults, and have healthy families. Welcome to the Sean Donahue Show. Jordan and I do this podcast because we want your family to be close and connected. And we want you to feel empowered and equipped in your most important job, the most important job in the world. Let's go deeper than this podcast. Head to my website, parentingmodernteens.com, and get my email straight to your inbox. And when you're ready to go deep and get serious coaching from me, join me in my VIP membership. Parents are teachers and every home is a school. So teach well, love well. All right. Let's have some fun together. Hey, what's up, my fellow parents? Hey, today we're going to talk about some research-backed ways to raise kids right. And you're going to be exposed to some new ideas, some new things. And I think that's good. I mean, that's why we do this podcast, right, Jordan? We want to inspire people with new things, good things, positive things, not age-old stuff that's like, oh, I've heard that a million times. Isn't that what we're doing here, to be good and helpful?
Of course. But I mean, what is research going to tell us that I don't already know? Because I'm a parent. Yeah. I know how to parent, right?
Oh my gosh, that's so classic. Actually, I'm going to come back to that point in about 7 minutes, what you just said, right? That's so typical of like how so many parents nowadays, like, why do I read a book about parenting? Listen to social media? I got this. Right. I don't need nobody online, right?
I've seen my parents parent. I see other parents parent. You just, they get mad. You do this. You put them in timeouts, and and hopefully they work out for the best.
That's funny that you said that, but here's partly why I do what I do for a living, everyone that's listening, and say thank you so much for letting Jordan and I be a voice in your life. But I want you to know a story that actually started all of this, and even helps me to understand this podcast episode that we're recording right here. So my oldest is about to turn 19. So when she was about 3 years old, we were in I think it was a Chuck E. Cheese, or it was like one of those nice pizza parlors that have like the
nice,
kind of like a Chuck E. Cheese.
Nice.
Right? Nice. It has like balls in the ball pit.
Right.
They didn't have those anymore.
Germs everywhere.
That's right. And my oldest, she was going around and she was like pushing the kids, Jordan. She was like bullying the kids. Yeah. And she was like not being nice to the kids. And I mean, it happened so long ago, I should have a more vivid memory of it. But essentially, I tried to work with her and coach her and be like, hey, Maddie, you can't be doing that. Maddie, stop doing that. And my wife and I already talked about spanking with our kids. And I checked in with Danielle. I said, hey, this seems like a good time to bring down the spank. Should we do it? Because I was spanked as a kid. And at that point, my parenting toolbox was so tiny. Guys, this is like before I started even reading my first book on parenting. And I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to be a freaking parent. And I was like, I'm just going to take the tools I got from my parents, which is like so crazy to say that out loud. Like, I parent the same way my parents parented me, even though my respect for them is not the highest in their parenting style. So here I take her into the men's room. And here we go. It's time for the big spanking, right?
Hold on. Pause. Yeah. When you brought this up to your wife, was she like, okay?
I think she was okay with it. Okay. And I'd like to believe that I even did check with her. Of course, she's not on the podcast right now. She'd be like, no, Sean, you didn't check.
This is how it really
was a tactful thing that we were both open to do it. Yeah. And so I take her to the men's room. Let's just imagine like a Chuck E. Cheese. And we go into the handicap stall. And I do what I thought I was supposed to do. Even though I never read a book on parenting, never listened to one parenting podcast. And I'm like, all right, Maddie, I'm going to spank you now because you weren't listening. And you need to learn that you can't be mean to kids or be doing that stupid stuff, right? Whatever I was saying. I had this dream in my head. I was going to spank her. And then she's going to fall into my arms and hug me. I love you, Daddy. I love you
Dreaming.
Too. I'll never do it again, Daddy. It's okay, right? And so I pull her little pants down, and what felt right at the time was like I took her shoe because I didn't know what to do, man. I didn't know. It just felt right. I took her shoe and I spanked her cute little 3-year-old butt, and she looked.
From that point on, you decided to change your parenting ways.
No, not yet. And she's over my knee, Chuck E. Cheese, and she looks at me and she laughs. Oh. She giggles. She's like, that's it? That's it? And I'm like, what the crap is this, dude? All right, I'm going to turn up the heat a little bit. So I take it again, and this time She catches her breath. And I'm like, all right, I got to make a point here. And I go again. Slap. And the rest is downhill from there, man. The crying, the tears. She jumps off. She stares at me like, what have I done? Like, what did you just do to me? The shock in her eyes. It did not look good, did not feel good. She pulls her little pants up. Instead of running into my arms, she like runs to the opposite side of the stall. She's covering her arms, like hugging herself. She's crying down below. And I just think to myself, is that the way this is supposed to go? Is that how this is supposed to work? It just, it didn't feel right to me. And I came back and I told Danielle that did not feel good. I don't know what happened there. And I think I left a mark on her butt. And I was like, soon after that, I picked up my first parenting book. It was under positive parenting principles. And I said to myself, you know what? I want to be a good dad, and I want to get more tools, and I want to figure out other ways to parent and to connect with my kids and to teach them. And now here we are years later, and we got a parenting podcast. So that's the short.
And you know what's funny is with how much wisdom you spew out on this podcast in a positive way, I'm still learning. And I don't know if you're still learning, but I think we're all still learning, which is really cool, because a lot of us are coming here because the things that we thought we knew, we really don't know. Or maybe it's been 10 to 15 years and we were parenting a certain way, and the actions that are now coming out of our kids are not what we expected. And so we feel lost, right? And so a lot of us are looking for that change. And so I think it's great that we look at these studies and we look at what, the science says, and we look at, anecdotal evidence of trial and error and how other kids have turned out.
Yeah, man. Well, thank you. Well said. So here's what happened. These two super smart people called Poe Bronson and Ashley Merriman wrote this really, really great book called Nurture Shock, New Thinking About Children. And what these people did is these scientists, they did the research, and they found out some things, and they looked at other researches and this study here and this study here, and they just brought it together in this book. And so Jordan and I have not read the book, and I'm planning on reading the book, but we found this article that actually gives some of the biggest points from the book, and we're kind of using that as a guide. And here, as you listen to this podcast, whether you're in your car or you're on a jog, we want to share some of the biggest things that have highlighted from this book that we found to be really cool and really interesting. So Jordan, get us started. What is one of the biggest takeaways from this book? And so we're going to open our minds to learn more. Go for it.
And just so everybody knows, the article itself comes from Time Magazine. So, we take a look at some of this and we're like, okay. And a lot of this might sound familiar to you, because Sean talks about this a lot on the podcast, and we kind of dissect it. And the number one thing it says here is praise kids for their effort, not smarts. Let's think about that for a second. How often have you been at home and your daughter or your son comes to you and be like, Daddy, they called me stupid, or the teacher said I did something wrong. I feel dumb. What do you say as a parent? Oh, honey, you're not dumb. You're so smart.
So true.
Which sounds like the right thing to do. And honestly, I just said it the other day. It does sound
it does sound. It feels good. It sounds good. It seems
and you need
loving.
to reinforce them that they are smart, and they need to believe that they are smart.
Yes, we want them to. Makes sense.
And if you guys remember on a podcast not too long ago, we were listening to how to not sideline parent for all you sports parents out there, right? And one of the things that Curtis Jackson was telling us was like, hey, don't cheer on your kid for the results. Yay, you won. I'm so proud of you. You got that touchdown. You're awesome. What you praise them is on their effort, because the reality is they're going to lose. They're not going to score that touchdown. They're going to drop the ball. They're going to miss their kick. They're going to swing and get a strikeout. And so you need to praise them on their efforts and not their smarts and not the end result. And so what the article is basically saying is this is going to teach them to persist and that the improvement is always possible. And so we want to make sure that we are praising them on the effort that they are given that they're giving for that project. You could see them study their behinds off for that test coming up on Friday, but maybe they got a C and they're so down, but it was the effort that they put in that's going to ultimately be so good for them down the road. So then the article continues to talk about how we need to praise, but not too often. All right. Ooh. So it says you got to be like a slot machine. All right. You put in that quarter, you pull that dang arm, although everything's electronic now, and you hope that you get the sevens across the board. But the reality is it's not going to come all that often. But whenever you win a little bit and you hear the ching, 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 you get excited. So you want to praise like a slot machine. Now praise intermittently.
You're going to answer this question in a second, but it makes us as people who want to be positive parents. I often talk about a 5-to-1 ratio of positive things, positive interactions. It makes me wonder, well, what's the problem with too much praise, right? And I know you're going to tell us the answer because we're both looking at the same sheet right now. But why can't we just point out and just be a super positive person to our kids? What's wrong with that?
Right. So what's wrong with that is they look forward to that. The kids are expecting you to say, good job, bud, way to go. And then if you don't hear it, they'll get down on themselves. So here there's quotes. It says the key is intermittent reinforcement. The brain has to learn that frustrating spells can be worked through, right? A person who grows up getting too frequent rewards is not going to have persistence because they're going to quit when the rewards disappear. In fact, I was just talking to my son the other day about patience and how everything in nature takes time. We have seasons, right? It's not, and I said, it's going to be hard for you, bud, because of technology. You guys are learning at such a fast pace and you want things now with YouTube, fast cuts, end results.
Yes.
I mean, it's hard for my kids to watch a whole movie right now because they watch 15-minute YouTube videos and it's, done. And so I'm like, patience is a natural process and you're going to learn in life, the best thing comes when you're patient. So patience is a virtue. That makes sense. And so when it comes to like praising, as a parent, do that. Be patient, really make sure that they are kind of learning from you and they're not just getting the reward all the time.
Really good. I like that. I like how you just emphasize patience because that's these kids, they don't want to sit in that pain, that emotional pain. Here's the rest of the end of the quote because you actually stopped reading it. It says, a person who grows up getting too frequent rewards will not have persistence because they'll quit when the rewards disappear. And so, right, this is where I think this is a pretty big, bold thing I'm about to say, but let me answer one of my take on a touchy subject. Like, what's wrong with kids today? Why do we have so many kids that are kind of they're not motivated. They don't push themselves. They're afraid of challenges. They don't want to leave the house. I think part of the answer lies in the parenting. Some of these parents have just been such overly doing the opposite of what this research says. You're so smart, honey. I love you. It's okay. Oh, you don't want to do that because you're anxious? That's okay. Stay in the house. Okay. I don't want to, you're going through a hard time. You had a hard time through COVID. You got anxiety, depression. It's okay. You just go at your own pace. And now what happens is it's like the outside world is scary to some of these kids because, they have to deal with hard things and challenges. And it's like, they feel like, my mom, my daddy, they feel like I'm so smart. I'm so good. I'm safe here in my house. Is that ringing?
No, I think we're coddling too much. I think the helicopter parenting, we're doing too much. It's like we're reinforcing some of these feelings that these kids are having that we probably shouldn't reinforce. And honestly, Sean, I was going to ask you, this might go against your teachings, but if a kid is frustrated because something is happening, is it not okay for me to say, get over it? We don't need to dwell on this moment right here because
totally
you need to feel,
totally okay. Totally
I think it's man. Sometimes we need to be suck it up and let's take the next step forward.
True. It's so true. There's a balance, right? It's a balance because if you always said, suck it up, get over it, I mean, that would not be good parenting. That's not very loving, right? And you already know the answer to that. So here's a couple interesting things that I want to share for this quote. So two super smart women. I think these women changed the world. Their books changed the world. It changed the educational system. The first one is called Growth Mindset. It's done by Carol Dweck. It came out of 2007. So it's 15 years old. And the second one these are books that I refer to a lot, is by Angela Duckworth, and it's called Grit. And these are extremely popular books that even now, hopefully, all of our teachers in all around the country have read these books and are incorporating the teachings from this. And here's a quote from the article. Emphasizing effort gives a child a variable that they can control. They come to see themselves as in control of their success. Emphasizing natural intelligence versus, right? So versus, like, you're so smart. Oh, you can do this. You're smart. Why? How could you forget your homework? You're smart. You're smart. You can get through that. Emphasizing natural intelligence takes it out of the child's control, and it provides no good recipe for responding to the failure. In a follow-up interviews, Dweck, who's like the OG, the original gangster of this, if you ask me, discovered that those who think that innate intelligence is the key to success begin to discount the importance of effort.
Right.
Now, so how would you translate in like everyday terms? Like, how would you translate that?
I mean, it's just
important.
Yeah. I mean, like, let's say your kid comes home with the gold star. Like, I got a gold star today. Like, that is awesome that they got the gold star. But the more important thing isn't that you got the gold star. The more important thing is, why did you get the gold star? And praising the effort that it took to get that.
Yes, the effort. Like, hey, you know what? It doesn't matter if you win or lose. It's like you out there and you did your best. Right. You know what? It's you doing well in this class would be geometry, English. It really doesn't have to do with your smarts or not. It has to do with, are you going to do the hard work? Are you going to put in the time? Hey, what's really interesting is that I posted a social media video just a couple days ago, and it's at 114,000 views just on one platform alone right now. So I think it's become very, very popular, and people are connecting with it. I'm going to do something I've never done before, and I'm going to play this video for you right now so you can listen to it, and then we're going to chat about it. And I'm going to read you some of the comments that parents like you posted on this video. We can chat about this because this is a pretty touchy subject, and it's definitely something that feels new to me, and I think to most of us out here. Here we go.
Mindset in life. Here's why I don't call my kids smart, and why you should never tell your kids that they're smart. Hey, my name is Sean. I'm here to help. I've been helping raise amazing kids for 25 years, and what you're about to hear is not my opinion. This is actually based on old research. The research has been around for over 2 decades. It's just becoming more popular to the public through videos like this. Yeah, this is a big, touchy subject, so I'm just going to share a couple helpful pointers. Calling them smart does not help them develop a growth mindset in life or to challenges, but instead actually encourages them to develop a fixed mindset. And that's not what we want. A growth mindset is one of developing grit, resilient. They look at challenges, problems, they look at new things, and they say, you know what, I can do this. I might fail, but that's okay. This might be hard. I might look stupid, but I got this. Characteristics of a fixed mindset might include fear around trying new things. They don't want to look stupid. They don't want to fail. It's like, why would I do something when I know I wouldn't be good at it? Some of us call our kids smart because we're trying to help. We might see them come to an obstacle. You know what, honey, you got this. You're smart. You can do this. And we have good intentions when we say things like that. We're trying to encourage them. We're trying to inspire them. We're pretty much telling them, hey, you've got what it takes. But it doesn't work. It's not helpful, and it produces bad things. The research helps us see that if your kid believes that they're smart because you have told them so many times, you're smart, you're smart, you're smart. Well, then when they come up to a challenge, it could be an academic challenge, it could be a social challenge, then they're going to freak out because that challenge is going to be hard and it's going to be beyond their capacity, beyond their smarts. For them to succeed, they're going to have to go beyond their brain, beyond themselves. They're going to have to get into their emotions, into their grit. They're going to have to step into their fears. They might look silly. They might fail. They may not do well. And that is emotional and scary. And this is where it gets sticky, because if our children believe that they're smart, then they might think like, I don't want to do that because then if I fail at it, then they won't think I'm smart anymore. And I need to be seen as smart. Or they might say, you know what, my parents are wrong. I'm not smart. I'm dumb. I'm really dumb. I can't do anything right. I hate this. This is a short version of what I've taught my children. Now, this is not how I talk to my own kids, but, you know, put a little sugar and spice on this, and this is like what I believe, and you can maybe take this if you like it. Doing something well in life has nothing to do with your brain or if you're smart or not. I've told my kids many times, like, It's okay to not be smart. You're probably not smart in this area. That's not a big deal. It's math. It's soccer. Like, most kids are not good at these things. They're not smart at them. The reason you become good at something, whether it be drama, whether it be geography, whether it be some school subject, whether it be a sport, whether it be anything, has nothing to do with your smarts. It has to do with hard work, time, effort, pushing, finding mentorship, finding people who are actually smart in that. I've been working with kids and teenagers for 25 years, and I personally never met a smart child. Now, I've met some 17 and 18-year-olds who are very smart in their specific field, but that's only because they grinded for years and years to become excellent at a specific field. But no, I'm sorry to break it to you. In my opinion, your kid's not smart just because they might get good grades in the 5th grade or in the 10th grade. We want to help our kids understand that certain areas of life, certain subjects will become easier for them. That could be on the sports field or in the math club or in wood shop or in the mechanic shop or in the youth group or in the Girl Scouts. But to become really excellent at something, it has nothing to do with smarts. It has to do with all those other factors. And one of the best ways for your kids to really get this is by talking to them and being vulnerable and telling them about how unsmart you are in most of the areas of life, and how in the 2 or 3 areas that you did become smart at, it wasn't because of your brain. It was because of all those factors. Hey, my name is Sean. Thanks for letting me share this with you. I hope you raise awesome kids with a growth mindset. And if you want to go deeper with me, check out my podcast or click that link in my bio. Here's why.
All right, what stands out to you from that?
No, I mean, I think it was really wise. It basically just implements everything that this study is talking about, right? It just implements the fact that, like, it is about the effort. Like, I saw a video the other day of a coach, and it was a dad, and he was sitting there with his little kids on, like, junior baseball, right? And he goes, well, kids, there's two types of people in this world. There's winners and there's losers. And if your dad tells you that it's not about winning, well, then your dad is a loser. And I'm just like, man, that's so limited thinking. Because, like, you might be a winner or a loser in that game, but what does it mean to be a winner in life? 9 out of 10 new businesses fail, right? Like, right. You start a new job and you're going to fail. You need to be a loser to become a winner. So you can't just be a winner or a loser in that moment. It's like
so good.
Long range.
Dang, that is inspirational. That should go viral right there. You need to be, what'd you say, you need to be a loser to be a winner? Is that what you said? Or?
How are we supposed to learn to walk if we don't know how to fall, right? Like, we have to fail to learn to succeed.
Yeah, when people say things to me like, I know I should let my daughter fail. I know I should let my son fail. We're not just talking about like F's in school. We're talking about so many other areas of life. Here's
every area.
Let me read a couple comments. This one person writes me this is my Instagram account. You explain my child perfectly. It breaks my heart when she quits new things because she's afraid to fail. I will definitely apply this advice.
That's good.
Now, let me read you one more positive and then read you a couple of negative comments that I got from it. Okay.
Bring it.
All right. This one says here, here it comes. Hold on. Here it is. I think, okay, there's a lot of negative comments here. Hold on a second. Let me find some positive.
This is great. I want to hear the negatives.
Oh, yeah. Okay. There's, let me find, I should have had this already prepared. This person writes, I think growth mindset is more that intelligence can be cultivated. Right. Knowing you're smart is general encouragement that you can figure out how to grow specific skills needed to solve future problems. That kind of sounds like you.
And it's like, to be wise, you almost have to, like, be dumb. Ask questions, figure things out. Don't be smart. Don't be the know-it-all right now, because wisdom comes with time. It comes with effort. It comes with practice.
Yeah. Yeah, it does.
Okay, some of those negative ones, man. What are they saying?
Gosh. Well, I mean, I should have.
Pick any.
Had these. Right. Okay. So here's I absolutely don't agree. Ava says, Smart kids know they're smart. The majority of smart kids don't always have the best grades because they're bored at school. This person says,
yeah, but what is okay? So now we have to get into
this?
Book smarts versus street smarts. What is being smart? You're talking about school. Like, we're not talking about school.
Problem.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
That's the problem with the word smart.
Yeah.
Because we use it in a term that's normally referring to school or educational. And
like, do you have to have a degree to be smart? I mean, the majority of the wealthiest people in the world don't have degrees, and they're running this world.
Like, we don't go tell the girl volleyball player who's the best player on the whole team, who has straight C's. We don't tell her she's smart, do we? That's not what we do culturally, right?
Right.
But we do with the kid who has straight A's in some subject. What's up with that? Now, here's something juicy. Here's a few negative comments that I got like this. All right, this is a little bit of a shocker. Why would this woman named, Bird of Paradise write this as her comment? You ready? She says, I wish someone told me I was smart when I was young.
I mean, again, you can't put all your eggs in one basket. So when we're saying this advice, we're not saying don't tell a kid they're smart. Like I told you at the beginning of this podcast, I just did it to my daughter the other day because someone told her she was stupid. Like, you are not stupid. You are very bright, and I need you to believe in that. So I think this person is being vulnerable, saying, maybe I got picked on. Maybe no one looked at me. I got overlooked. I wish someone would have just been like, you know what? You're worthy. You're good enough. You are smart.
Definitely, this video triggered a lot of people, and it definitely triggered people who were not built up by their parents.
Yeah.
And they were not. Their value wasn't identified. Like, you have value here. You have hope. Mm-hmm. You may not be excellent at the traditional educational system, but it doesn't mean there's anything wrong with your brain. You have a bright future like that. Right. That is, here's a common negative feedback, right? River and Hunter says, I tell my kids they're smart. I tell them they can do anything.
Which is true. I think that's good.
Some things will not come naturally, while others will not. They won't be good at everything, but if they want it bad enough, they can become great at anything they set their mind to. I've never had an issue with anxiety or fear for them being told they're smart.
Right. And obviously with your video, it came across like that. But what I was going to argue is what basically we're saying this article says. It says, don't praise them for being smart. Mm-hmm. Praise them for their efforts, right?
Yes.
So that's the difference. It's the reward because of X. And what is X? Well, is it because they're smart, so you're praising them, or is it because of the effort they put in to be smart?
Right. Let me give everybody a couple tools here, because somebody asked here, like, okay, if we're not saying they're smart, what should we say to them? Well, here's a couple things to think about. So first, if I've raised my kids and I've never once told them they're smart. I've actually told them in what I felt like was loving sugar and spice ways that they're actually not smart, and it's okay to not be smart. And we've had some laughs over that over the years, including my wife saying, what kind of parenting is this, Sean? Mm-hmm. What are you doing? Right. I just help them understand what is smart, because I really believe personally that I've actually never met a smart teenager. But here's something funny. Everyone listening, the smartest young person I've ever met is somebody who actually, and we did youth group together back in the day. The smartest teenager, and I've been around hundreds of thousands of them, is probably someone who who I'm talking about. Let's say his name right now. Who do you think it is?
No, I have no idea.
When I met Kyle Mooney when he was in high school,
Kyle Mooney,
I said, what is with this kid? He is so smart. Now, I'm not talking about smart as it doesn't work for NASA. Because Kyle Mooney was on Saturday Night Live for 7 or 8 years. He just resigned.
And he's still acting. He was just in a new movie, Danny watched, with Jennifer Lawrence. He's still out there. He was amazing. Yeah, and he was brilliant in high school too. But what makes you bring this up?
I don't know. I just think that's what I've been saying. I've been working with teenagers for 25 years, and I've been, and a lot of these teenagers now are very successful CEOs, doctors, scientists, authors, YouTubers, whatever. But if I think of the smartest one, I think of him.
That is so funny.
Kyle Mooney,
hilarious.
The way that he understood people and his communication skills and his humor was just so freaking smart at such a young age, right?
That's hilarious.
But I still do believe that personally, I have met some very smart seniors in high school, but they only became smart at volleyball, at football, or at science.
And those people maybe are becoming smart because of the effort they're putting in. Kyle put in a lot of effort all the time in writing. He was a singer, and he was always thinking about his monologues with acting. I mean, the guy was working nonstop. And some of these sports people you talk about, they're working nonstop. I mean,
nonstop.
I see where you're coming from, but I also get why people are triggered by what you said, really how you would never call someone smart, because it just kind of feels negative. So I understand these parents' frustration, but we're just trying to get across to you that, like, you don't want to praise because of that.
Here, let's do this right now. Here's and I'll try to make it really personal. Let me before we move on to the next point of a research, let me share a couple things that I think you could use to answer this person's question. Well, here's the question, Sean, I love my kid. I want to grow up with self-esteem. I want them to grow up with worth.
Beautiful.
I want them to grow up with grit and with self-control. And I want them to grow up. Well, if I'm not supposed to tell them they're smart, what else can I tell them? Well, good news. There's a million other things to say besides that one word. It's just that one word, the way the research tells us, has interacted with kids at this time, at this culture, is not producing positive results for most kids. Now, has that produced positive results for many kids, including your kid, listener? Yes. Right? There's outliers here. Just because you tell your kids you're smart doesn't mean they'll end up becoming a fear-based lazy bones failing to launch. No, come on. We're not being weird here. But here's something. Let's both do this. Here's something. Like, so for example, two of my daughters starting new schools, and one of them is having a hard time. She's in high school. And so I've talked about this on the podcast a couple of times now. So some of the things I'm doing for her is I'm telling her, like, look, honey, just have patience. You are going to get through this. You are tough and you don't give up. And this is a hard time in your life. So just have patience. I'm here. Your family's here. It won't be this hard forever. What do you think about that?
I love it. How about this one? My son's a gymnast, and he just had his first meet at the next level that he progressed to. He didn't do that well because you move up a level, you're expected to do a lot of things better and cleaner. And there were times like, man, I didn't get first, second, third, fourth, or whatever it was. I'm like, dude, look at your hands. You got blisters all over. You're bleeding. Do you know you stuck that landing when you came off that high bar and didn't move? The progress I've seen in you is epic. Keep it up. Those medals will come,
That's good. That's really good. Here's something else I said to my kids. You know what? I just love seeing you work hard, but Dad, I didn't do good, or we didn't win, or, it doesn't matter to me. Like, it's okay to not be good at things, to not be the best. Like, I'm not good at most of the things I do. I just want you to know I love seeing that effort you put in. What do you think about that?
I love that. And it's just hard for kids right now because they don't watch like cartoons like we did. And maybe some of your kids do, but like these YouTube videos, it's like trick shots. It's like 60 minutes of trick shots, and they don't see the failures. It's like, well, I can't make it. I can't. I'm like, dude, do you know how long these guys were sitting here with the camera and then editing this together to put this video for 2 seconds to make you think that they made some half-court shot?
So true. You brought that example up a couple times in this podcast, and I love it.
It's just a good example because
really
I watch the stuff they watch, and I'm like, and they even say, I want my own YouTube channel, and then I get them like, let's say a camera, and I'm like, okay, we have to learn to edit, and I'm like, well, I don't want to learn how to edit. Well, how do you expect to put the video online, man? You got to sit down and do the work. All right, I want to move on to the second tip here. Again, that first one was great. Praise kids on effort.
Yeah, we went deep.
Not smart.
We went deep with that.
Let's see how we get on this one. And I was kind of glancing over, and this is just going to shock everyone. I'm going to tell you right now.
Oh, it's so shocking.
You got to make.
So you've never heard this one before.
No, but the data that comes to it from it is amazing. Okay, so make sure they get their sleep. Make sure your kids go to bed on time. Make sure they're getting their sleep. Make sure they're well rested, okay? But some of the stuff that's coming out here, I'm like, whoa. Losing an hour of sleep reduces your 6th grader's intelligence to a 4th grade level.
Hold on. Let's just process that.
Dude.
That's
huge.
That's nuts. That's medically proven. You're telling me that when my 6th grader, or me, when I was 6th grade and I was staying up late with my buddy Chris
drinking Mountain Dew,
playing
video
Pringles,
games.
Playing video games, Sega Genesis, or watching American Gladiators, the original one, or watching
you were
Saturday
getting
Night Live.
Dumber.
We're getting dumber in the 6th grade.
I can tell you, okay, this is anecdotally, but this is from my experience, okay? I'm just telling you, when I don't get proper sleep and I got to go on TV every day and I'm reading teleprompters and I'm thinking about stats, I'm telling the weather, if I don't get proper sleep, my mind is all over the place.
And you're a grown man.
I'll tell you right now. And I'm a grown man.
And that's a good brain you have, dude.
And I know sleep is so important.
Oh my gosh.
The effect was indeed measurable and sizable. The performance gap caused by an hour's difference of sleep was bigger than the gap between a normal 4th grader and a normal 6th grader, which is another way of saying that a slightly sleepy 6th grader will perform in class like a mere 4th grader. Okay, and it continues.
2 years back. 2 years back. 2 years back. That's like saying me as a 45-year-old man. Let's do the math. That's like me saying, like, I'm going back in wisdom. I'm going back in time. Functional brain not working. Dang.
A few scientists theorize that sleep problems during formative years can cause permanent changes in a child's brain structure.
Okay, hold on, pause. I know you're not done with a quote. You're telling me kids that are staying up late playing video games because their parents are so passive and permissive that may cause permanent changes in their brain. Is that what you're telling me?
You know, anytime I talk to a parent who has a problem with their child, I ask them 2 questions. I say, are they getting enough sleep? How much sugar are they having? Right? Yeah, and I think a lot of us are now realizing this. I mean,
dude, sugar and sleep. Okay, I quit.
Okay, I'll keep going. I was going to expand on adults with the lack of sleep and crime, but I'm okay. So damage that one can't sleep off like a hangover. So it's even possible that many of the hallmark characteristics of being a tweener and teen, moodiness, depression, and even binge eating are actually just symptoms of chronic sleep deprivation. And I could expand this even farther. I remember listening to another podcast. They had a doctor, I don't know, what would it be? A lung doctor, breathing expert, ear, nose, and throat. I'm not sure. But not breathing properly is another problem for adults and for kids. Breathing from our nose, not from our mouth, actually allowing our body to take in the proper oxygen is another big one too. But let me get to this and then we'll expand. Staying up late on weekends like Sean Dodd did, eating Pringles and drinking Mountain Dew is problematic. The weekend shift causes a drop of 7 IQ points, the equivalent of lead exposure. Whoa.
What?
Whoa. A study of over 3,000 high school students showed a clear correlation between sleep and grades. A lot of us know this. I remember going to bed not early, I don't know, 10 or 11, you're in high school. Alarms is at, 5:30, 6 o'clock. And just after, lunchtime, you'd get so tired. We'd fall asleep on those little desks with the little elbow thing. You remember? I was always so tired. Then you'd have football practice, and it's important that we make sure our kids are sleeping.
Yeah, going back in time, I slept through like the first 2 periods of like half asleep for all of high school. I wasn't drinking coffee, and it makes me wonder like what was going on with me. Well, the answer was I wasn't getting enough sleep, man.
Get enough sleep. And we say the average adult needs what, 6 to 8 hours. I wonder what it is for kids. It doesn't go into this, but it's
all right. Actually, I think we did it. This sounds familiar. I think we might have done a podcast episode on this. Okay, so 1 to 2 year old kids, they need 11 to 12 and a half hours of sleep per night.
Oh, yes, that's right. I do remember us talking about this.
So 3 to 5 year olds, they need 10 and a half to 11 and a half hours of sleep.
Wow.
All right. So your 5-year-old should be going to bed at, let's say if your 5-year-old goes to bed at 7 o'clock.
If you wake up at 5 a.m., that's 10 hours.
That means they're waking up at 6:30.
Yeah, so 6:30.
6:30. So if they go to bed at 8 o'clock, that means they're waking up at 7:30.
Yeah, if you want 11 and a half hours.
All right, let's see. Last night, my 7-year-old would not fall asleep, and it was weird. Like she was trying to, but she was up late. And then this morning, I'm getting ready for school, and like her brain was not working. Yeah, it's like she could not stay focused. And I even talked to my wife Danielle about it. So let's see. At 7 to 13-year-olds need 10 hours of sleep a night. So that means if they're going to bed at 8, if they're waking up at 7 in the morning, what time do they need to go to bed?
For 10 hours of sleep?
Yeah.
What time do you go into bed? 7? They need to wake up at 5.
If they wake up at 7.
Oh, if they wake up at 7, they need to go to bed at 9 for 10 hours of sleep.
That seems
9 to 7 a.m. 9 p.m., 7 a.m.
So
10 hours.
Can a 13-year-old who's in 8th grade go to bed at 9 a.m.?
9 p.m., you mean?
I'm sorry, 9 p.m. How many 8th graders go to bed nowadays at 9 p.m.?
I don't know that answer.
Me neither. How many 6th graders, lights out, asleep at 9 p.m.? That's what the research tells us.
Thankfully, I'm on a morning, schedule. I got to wake up at 4. So lights out for me, 8 p.m., no later. I try to get in bed by 7. So thankfully, we get the kids to bed before 9. But on the weekends, yeah, shoot, my kids want to party. They're like, I want to hang out. I want to watch a movie with you. I'm going to stay awake. And then no matter what, they're still up at 5 a.m. So yeah, that'll mess them up.
As a youth worker and an ex-youth worker, youth pastor, camp counselor, all these things, we would do these sleepovers and these lock-ins with kids.
Dude,
Jordan was a high school
those were so hard to stay awake for.
And they were so fun. The kids loved them. They were so good for the kids, so good for so many reasons. But there was one thing, it was very bad for them. Sleep. It would wreck their sleep. And I had a mom who knew this research, and she called me.
She did?
Have you read the research on sleep? Our kids should not be staying up all night. And I said, I know, Christine, you're a great mom, but I mean, it's just a few times a year, a couple of times a year. This is really good for them. And it's so positive. And we get kids off the streets and keep them sober and safe and in a really good environment.
Yeah. We'd rent out a bowling alley and stay there all night, 7 p.m. till 10 a.m. and just stay at the bowling alley.
How cool was that, man? To be in high school, you rent out a whole bowling alley. I did. Yeah. I rented a whole bowling alley, have hundreds of kids with a lot of adults around and youth leaders, and they would have an all-nighter in a bowling alley. That's
it's funny though. You did keep kids off the streets, so to speak, because I'm gonna tell a story right now. So it was 9th grade, and you were having one of these nights. Can't remember what we called them. And
I was trying to remember the name because I can't remember your name.
But I went to, it was homecoming night, and you were like, well, after homecoming, you come and hang out. So I remember I was going to homecoming with this girl, and she kept saying like, hey, let's hang out after. Let's go do stuff after, right? Whatever stuff meant. I was like,
party, drink, drugs,
whatever. And I would have if I didn't, just because that's what the kids were doing. So instead, I went to this overnight thing.
Campus life.
And thankfully, man, I didn't get caught up in that.
It gave kids an alternative to the party scene.
So we were telling people to make sure their kids are going to bed early, and it's like, well, we didn't do it.
All right, let's go with one more on great research out of this book.
All right.
They found out. Let's do out of the book, Nurture Shock, New Thinking About Children. Take it from here, dude.
Okay, so this is topic number 3, how to raise honest kids.
Honest kids.
How do we get our kids?
They don't lie to us.
No,
now, I don't know what we're about to hear.
The truth.
I don't know what we're about to hear. I'm really excited because I haven't read what you're about to read.
Yeah.
But I do know that what I normally tell people, that if you have a child who's lying to you, or a teenager who is lying or fibbing, my personal belief is that it normally says more about the parent than it does the child.
If you can tell if your parent or if your child is lying?
My normal take.
Reaction, inclination. Okay.
Yeah, my inclination is that if your child is lying to you, it says it normally, not all the time, it says more about the parent than the child, as in the parents.
Yeah. I get what you're saying.
In building connection.
But even if you have a great connection, there's going to be a period where your kid lies to you.
Exactly.
That just happens.
Yeah, it totally, there's a lot of reasons. So tell us what the research tells us.
The $1 million question is, do you know when your child is lying? Because this research says, no, you don't. And the person who ran the test, he ran it through hundreds of people. And on the whole, the results are no better than just chance. People simply cannot tell when their kids are lying. However, I got to say, I think my wife's gut instinct, that mama bear instinct is pretty darn on it. I've seen it out. She's lying. I'm like, oh, we gotta figure. Really?
God.
Okay.
Oh, that's cool.
Okay.
That's cool.
All right. So kids want to please us, right? Tell them that the truth makes you happy. All right. So as a parent, you don't want to be like, hey, you need to tell the truth. You need to have the right answer, but that you're more likely to get the truth out of your kid if you say, hey, when you tell the truth, it makes me happy. It makes me feel more connected to you. And I've told my kids this a number of times. I said, hey guys,
that's good.
If you tell me the truth, I promise you will never get in trouble. I don't care what you did, but you telling me the truth is going to allow me to better parent you and to keep you safe. My goal is to keep you safe. Anyway, it's not about me. Let's read this.
That's good. That's good parenting. Let me sit on that before you read the next quote. Yeah. It's like what I'm hearing you say is emotional safety and connection is the priority.
Yes.
And it's actually emotional safety and connection is prioritized over disobedience and consequences. And so that is wise. I echo that research. And I say that is what you want. Another way of saying the same thing is, as parents, you've heard me say this before, we all generally want two big things. The first one is we want obedience, cooperation, whatever you want to put under that, from hygiene to good school efforts to timeliness to good chores to sibling issues. And the second thing we all want is closeness, connection, intimacy. And what you're echoing here is what the research is also echoing is like when you're in the sticky points, when you feel like you want both and you may not get either of them, put your faith in the connection. Please continue.
Yes. Yeah, because ultimately these kids, they're lying to not get in trouble or maybe to make us happy, right? Trying to please us. Yeah. So what they say to do is say, I will not be upset with you if you peaked, if you whatever, right? Let's say you peaked at the Christmas gifts or whatever. But if you tell the truth, I will be really happy. And they say something like this. I'm about to ask you a question, but before I do, will you promise to tell me the truth?
That's good.
I like that.
That's good.
So think about that. Like, hey, I'm going to ask you something and I want you to know you're not going to get in trouble.
Yeah.
I really need you to tell me the truth. It's going to make me happy if you tell me the truth. What about this one, Sean? What about, I already know what the answer is, so be careful with how you answer. Or something like that.
Ooh, have you
ever done that?
On that? Yeah.
Okay.
I've never done that for a reason.
Hey guys, I got a question for you. Come here. Hey, I'm going to ask you something. I already know the answer. So think about how you're going to answer this before you answer it. Okay.
That's just putting your kids up like on a big test.
I know.
I don't know who wins in that. That seems like a lose-lose dynamic because it's like
that is more of like I am really upset right now.
Yeah, you are. You're pissed. You're pissed.
And I'm going to ask you something. And if you lie and I know you're lying, you're going to be in that much more trouble.
I know. I'm so pissed because of what you did. I already know what you did.
Yeah.
So this is just a big mind game. And I need you to be honest with me because it's going to help me feel better and be less pissed.
Yes.
And if you now make it worse by lying to me, I'm going to be double pissed. Here's two things that stand out to me.
That's right.
Here's two things that stand to me. One I like and one I don't like. One I don't like. I do not personally, this is just, just take this for the grain of salt. I do not like the word promise. I actually despise it. My wife and I feel the same way. We do not have that word as part of our vocabulary in our home ever. And we don't feel like that's healthy and that's good. And just if you use the word promise, then, don't let me shame you or change you. I'm just sharing on my podcast. It's called the Sean Donahue Show, so I can share what I want. So it's like instead, even if our kids say, I promise, or I pinky swear, they might have picked that up from school. I'll say, look, you don't need to promise. Just tell me. Just tell me yes or no, you're going to do it. Just tell
that's
me.
Good.
And so there's this whole cultural thing around the word promise where you're only going to tell the truth if you promise. I like what this article is saying better. Just to emphasize a point you already said, I don't think I've ever done that, what this article says. The article is saying, now I have done this. I don't say, hey, I want to ask you a question, but before I do, I want you to please just tell me the truth.
Yeah.
And if you don't want to tell me the truth, then don't. Just tell me pass, but please don't lie to me. I've used that a lot.
Oh, that's good.
I use that with my teen clients as well. And I taught my coaches to say that to our clients. Say, look, I want to ask you a question.
Okay.
And you don't need to tell me. But if you do tell me, I want you to tell me the truth. And if you don't want to tell me the truth, just say pass. But please do not lie to me.
So when you have done this with your clients, what is the outcome with your kids? What is the outcome? Do they always fess up, or do sometimes they say pass?
It's the amount of honesty is very, very, very high.
Yeah, I would anticipate that.
Yeah, and because this is better than what the article tells us to, I want you to promise me to tell me the truth, because if someone's struggling with honesty because they don't want to get caught, they don't want to get in trouble, they don't want to deal with shame, they don't want to deal with the emotion of watching a parent get upset or emotional, that's a gazillion reasons why a kid would lie to us, right?
Right.
I mean, and so I just don't, even though this article, I think there's a better way. And I think two of the better ways would be this, like, look, when you're ready to tell me the truth about what happened, please just don't lie to me about it. It's okay. You don't need to like do that. Whatever you want to tell me, I will not be upset. I love you. We will get through this together. I like that. But this is a little long-winded, but what I also like is what the article says. The article is telling me something I've never done before. And it sounds like this: hey, if you tell me the truth, I'm not going to be upset, but I'm actually going to be happy. I'm going to be happy that you told me the truth.
Right.
And like, you trust me to, like, you know, that you can tell me these things. I'm going to be happy.
Yeah.
That's what you said. That's kind of like, that's different,
and it's
man.
important. It's important for us to remind ourselves of that, because sometimes our kids are going to tell us the truth. And in that moment, we are not going to be happy. But let me just give you a what if. What if your kid calls you, they are drunk, and they're like, I can't drive. I need you to come pick me up. And you're mad in that moment because, you know, you don't want them out there at late night doing something. You thought they were spending a night at a friend's house, and they lied to you then. But they called you to tell you this. Okay. So I understand you're not happy in that moment, but I need you to be happy that your child reached out to you to do that. Because how much better is that call than, hi, this is Officer Gomez. Your child has been in a drinking driving accident. I need you to come to the hospital. Right? Mm-hmm. When you look at those two comparisons, I'm happy that they called me for me to pick them up. Even though in that moment I might be frustrated, we just have to remind ourselves that, like, you know, kids coming to us and telling us the truth is a good thing overall, because we ultimately just want to keep them safe.
That's a brilliant point. Let me say the same thing in a different way, using not such an extreme metaphor, because I think that metaphor was perfect and great.
It was harsh.
From my clients, though, is, Sean, I get so triggered when my kid does these things. And it's hard for me to do what you tell me to do. It's hard for me to show up with good listening skills, presence, validation, curiosity, empathy, reflection. Because I just wear my emotions on my sleeve. But what we're seeing here from Jordan and from this article is, if you want to nurture closeness and honesty in your home, we as parents, highly emotional parents, we have to have self-control around our emotions. We have to, like, have self-control. And what we might feel like doing is just exploding. Like, I'm so upset at you. I'm so upset at you. But what Jordan is telling us to do is to manage ourselves and to manage our nonverbal body language. To be like, look, I will be happy to come and pick you up. I would be happy if you tell me the truth. I'm here. Like, I want you to know you can come to me no matter what. And I'm going to be available for you. And that, what we're actually telling people to do, Jordan, is hard.
It is hard. But, like, and honestly, it's those extreme analogies that I give that help me. I know it might be morbid and weird. Like, I literally this morning was walking down the stairs at 4 a.m., getting ready to go to work. Everyone was asleep. And I was, like, checking the kids' room. And my daughter was not in her room. She was in a different room, sleeping with our other son. And I was like, man, and I had this image come across me, like, man, what if she had been kidnapped? What if my daughter right now wasn't with me, and I'm looking in that bedroom and, like, I didn't have a daughter? So, like, these weird, morbid thoughts make me realize I can deal with anything. I'm just glad to have her, right? Buddy, like, I get to be frustrated if she lies to me, like, because these images of, like, not having a kid or having something terrible, like, think about the war going on in the Middle East right now and parents and their kids, like, it's awful. But it's that makes me appreciate the hard times.
Man, that is so inspirational. That leads me to what I want to share from my attitude of gratitude. I think that just building off what you said, like, it's really hard for me to have my one of my teen daughters just struggling at a new school. It hurts. It brings up a lot inside of me, but I'm just so thankful to be in her life. And specifically, I'm so grateful that she's letting me in, that she's telling me about her day, how people don't talk to her, how she feels alone, she misses her old school, that she's sharing this, and letting me walk alongside this journey, that she trusts me enough to not pep talk her, to not cheerlead her, to not rah-rah her, to not overly praise her, and just to sit in that pain with her, that she trusts me, feels so good. And I'm so thankful for her. And I'll keep you posted on how this story develops.
Thank you. That is hard.
Grit. She's got grit.
A lot of us have done that, gone to a new school. Like, it is hard. School is tough. New middle school, new high school. Everyone's already got their cliques. So we could all a lot of us can relate to that. Yes, please keep us posted, because I know it's going to be successful. But again, patience, probably time.
Patience.
I am thankful that I get to be a parent. I think it's cool. And there are a lot of frustrating times that come with it. But there are a lot of people out there that are maybe trying to be parents and they can't get pregnant, or they can't have kids for whatever reason, and they don't get that these feelings, these emotions of everything life gives us. So I am thankful of getting the job and hopefully succeeding. It's fun. It's a fun ride.
Thank you so much for joining us today. You are a good parent. Oh my gosh, family life and parenting is so hard. I hope today gave you some tools and some inspiration. And if you're enjoying this podcast, then please do me a favor. Leave us a positive review on your podcast provider. And if you're hearing this and you're struggling as a parent, your family is struggling, or you need parenting tools for that one challenging, struggling kid, well, I will see you in a live Zoom call inside my VIP membership, and I will give you the specific tools you need to solve every problem you have and to stay strong, be close, and teach wisdom.